Well, guys, the Republicans are freaking out right now because they know that after they got obliterated at the polls this week, they now have to change all of their messaging back to the economy and affordability. They were hoping that they could just give tax cuts to their rich friends and then keep everybody distracted by sending the military into blue cities and going to war with Antifa frogmen. But it looks like nobody gave a shit about that. Looks like the real reason that Trump supporters voted for him is because they wanted a bunch of free shit. They wanted free IVF, no more taxes, lower prices at the store, not higher. And they wanted him to literally hand out $5,000 checks to everybody like Oprah. They were looking for the free shit. And when Republicans got in office, obviously they had no intentions of actually helping the American people. But now Republicans are being forced to talk about the economy that they ran straight into the ground. And they can't talk about the numbers because those look terrible. So their number one tactic is to trot out Lego man Mike Johnson and Daddy Trump to tell everybody that prices are way down. Guys, our pro-growth policies will kick in soon. That's what they have to say. And that's because they're absolutely cooked. The Republicans have done nothing to help the American people, and even their own fans are starting to notice. Anyway, guys, gotta love it. Gotta love watching them squirm. If they thought that this week was bad for them at the polls, woo! Next year is going to be glorious. All right, guys, happy Thursday. Hopefully you're having a great week. I know I am having a damn good week. So let's keep that energy flowing. All right, y'all? Okay, love you. See you soon.
Ever since Tuesday's election, Republicans are trying to distance themselves from Donald Trump. And this could not be any better. They don't want to be associated anymore with him. They are recognizing that the MAGA Trump train is not one they want to be on anymore. Now, of course, nobody is going to forget who they aligned with to begin with. We are going to be holding them accountable, and we are not interested in voting in these people once Trump is gone. But as we know, he is a lame duck president. He only has 3 more years at most. And these people are hoping that maybe we forget that they weren't once aligned with him, but we won't. But I think it's really interesting that all of these people that went so hard for Donald Trump and MAGA now are recognizing that he is, in fact, the loser that he calls everybody else. I mean, it really is kind of poetic justice how much this administration is just losing. The problem is he's trying to bring us all down with him. The economy is at an all-time low. Prices are higher than ever. People can't afford their groceries. Their SNAP benefits have been cut off. Like, it is not going well. And many of us saw this coming.
I got some great news, guys. The Republican Party is losing all confidence in Donald Trump over the last week or so because of these files and it being revealed that he is definitely in them, and they majorly implicate them. Who could have fucking guessed? And Republicans are trying to distance themselves from him as much as possible now. And it looks like we might see quite a few of them change their vote on releasing these files for that reason. We've also got Steve Bannon just publicly crashing the fuck out because he's realizing how much they are failing at their whole Project 2025 bullshit. Because they can't get full control over all our institutions, like the military, to enforce their bullshit. And he said, if we can't get full control of all these institutions, we're all going to prison. And it looks like they probably are. It's gonna happen. It's coming. And they know it.
Alright, we've got some major news. The heads of the MAGA movement are scared shitless, and that's not me exaggerating, they're admitting it. Apologies for looking like an old man, but I took out my contacts for the night. Steve Bannon at a speech today saying if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. Alright, so there is both a very obvious good side to this and a very obvious bad side to this. Let's explain it. The good side of this is it confirms what a lot of us already suspected after the elections on Tuesday were a total blowout for the Democrats nationwide. We saw races in Minnesota, in Georgia, in California, in New York, in Illinois, in New Jersey, and in Virginia all swing to the Democrats without question. Political analysts are very much correct right now when they say that the elections on Tuesday were a test of whether or not Americans are willing to put up with Trump, and the result was a resounding fuck no. In addition, there were 30 Moms for Liberty elections nationwide. Every single one of them lost their election. And the reason I bring that up is because one of the main events that led to MAGA building up so much power nationwide was Moms for Liberty candidates infiltrating local positions, especially school boards. So to see every single Moms for Liberty candidate either up for election or up for re-election lose their races all at the same time is a huge warning bell. What happened on Tuesday backed up what I've been trying to tell a lot of you for most of this year. MAGA does not have anywhere near as much control as they think they do, and what control they do have is rapidly slipping. This isn't stopping evil things from happening, but this is absolutely the extinction burst of MAGA. Now, as for the bad news, this is the extinction burst of MAGA. And how an extinction burst manifests is that the ideology which is going extinct suddenly goes through an explosive and hyper-aggressive period of trying to propagate itself as aggressively and offensively as possible. This is the ideological equivalent of a rat knowing that it's in the corner and now it has nothing left to do but bite, claw, and attack as much as it can until it is dead. Which is exactly why Curtis Yarvin talked earlier about needing to flee the country, and why now people like Steve Bannon, Stephen Miller, and Tom Homan are saying we need to get all of our goals done really, really fast right now. We need to ramp up how fast we're getting these things done. What this means is that MAGA knows after the elections on Tuesday that if they do not get everything they need to done by the midterms next year, then their ideology is dead beyond saving, which is precisely why Steve Bannon said, hey, we're going to be going to prison if we don't win the midterms. The real people who are going to be prison are people like Stephen Miller and Tom Homan and Steve Bannon, not the average MAGA voter, but they want to convince MAGA voters that they're going to be sent to prison too. MAGA has officially entered terminal fight or flight. They are going to get much more aggressive. They are going to get much more pushy about their agenda. But the flip side of that is, the more aggressive they get, the more they rush to get things done, the more mistakes they're going to make, the more lines they're going to cross. They push too hard, too fast, everyone will lash out. And I strongly suspect that if the midterms go the way that I believe they're going to go next year, we are going to see Donald Trump, Tom Homan, Steve Bannon, Steve Miller, and J.D. Vance fleeing the country, because all of them know what's coming to them the second the actual rule of law is restored.
Finally, Republicans in Congress are turning on Donald Trump and calling him out for his lies. Now, as you know, cost of living is a huge reason Republicans lost elections last Tuesday. But Donald Trump has started coming out and saying that cost of groceries are down, cost of energy is down. He's just trying to gas his way through. Well, Republicans this time around are not just accepting it, as they are now calling him out. Thomas Massie has directly called him out and said that he is lying to the American people. Marjorie Taylor Greene today went on CNN to say that indeed prices are up under Donald Trump. This is the turn that we needed, and it is amazing that it took the risk of losing their own jobs to turn on Donald Trump. All the damage he was doing to the country made no matter to them so long as they could keep their positions. But now that they realize that their positions are in risk, now they want to stand up to him. So while I'm happy that they're finally doing it, I give them no credit, as they would have followed him down this road so long as Republicans would still win.
So Donald Trump is a convicted felon who has also been officially charged. This is the first time this has ever happened in the history of the United States. An incoming president has been charged with a crime and sentenced. He will not serve any jail time. And this is very personal to me. My dad is a convicted felon who did serve time. And he has faced judgment and scrutiny and lost opportunities over it. But Donald Trump will not lose any opportunities. In fact, he was elected president a second time. So people all over the world have no idea why this man is about to be president again, because other convicted felons in the United States cannot even get a job, cannot even get a minimum wage job. And yet Donald Trump will hold the highest position in the country in just a matter of days. Make it make sense.
The majority party in the Senate, which needs 60 votes to pass a budget, is refusing to negotiate. It is their way or the highway, take it or leave it. We got the majority, we're not talking to you, despite the fact that they only have 53 votes. And to make this situation even more absurd, and to show the American people the contempt in which the Republicans hold for negotiations and democracy, you got a Speaker of the House who has now given his members a 6-week paid vacation. Country is in the midst of a major crisis. Republican members of the House are nowhere to be seen. They're on a paid vacation.
If we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They are getting more and more and more radical. And we have to counter that. And what do we have to counter it with? We have to counter it with more action, more intense action, more urgency. We're burning daylight. If you look across every aspect of this, we have to codify what President Trump has done by executive order, right? We have to codify it.
So MAGA outside voice, ally, and ideologue, MAGA enforcer Steve Bannon stood in front of a room of Republicans and stated that if they lose the midterms and lose 2028, many of them in that room, himself included, would be going to prison. Ooh, that sounds like a confession, meaning they know what they've done. That means they know they've gone past the limits of what's legal, what's constitutional. They've gone past the amendments, completely past the line where democracy still has room to breathe. Anything and everything to push their white Christian nationalist neo-Nazi is not real propagandist wet dream of a country that they want for the future. That means they're not playing power by any means. And when power gets scared, it gets concerned, it gets desperate. This white supremacist, Christian nationalist, it's not real backed neo-fascism wet dream of a country that they want, that they've been actively building. A system where the laws negatively impact us and never them. One where their version of God justifies their crimes. Again, this is them telling us who they are. We've always known, but now they're saying it out loud. This is their dream, and it's not democracy. Then they say we are radicals, but wanting fair elections is not radical. Believing in human rights is not radical. And holding criminals accountable is not radical. What's radical is trying to overthrow democracy to escape accountability and justice. So yeah, this was absolutely 100% a confession. They know the walls are closing in. And our job, everyone, I'm looking at you white people, is to show up to vote so we can seal the deal. Midterms, we're taking this country back.
We are in the longest government shutdown in American history, and all of these MAGA freaks like Donald Trump, Mike Johnson, and the losers that stand around them and nod along are going around saying it's the Democrats' shutdown. I would like to remind everybody that Donald Trump controls the presidency, the Senate, the House, these government agencies, and the Supreme Court. It is a Republican government, and they cannot keep the government open. Under Joe Biden, there was not a single day under his presidency where the government was shut down. And think about the debate we're having right now. Democrats are saying, hey, let's fund SNAP so people can eat. Let's fund healthcare so it's cheap, affordable, and people can actually access it. But Republicans are saying, no, let's open up the government and have no SNAP, no healthcare, and people can suffer. That's the debate we're having, and Republicans are trying to frame it as if it's the Democrats who are doing something wrong. Mike Johnson and all these Republicans are at home. They're not even in D.C. working. They've been on vacation this entire time. It is so maddening that this is the current state of political debate in America, where the Republicans are just standing there lying as they hurt working people, and the Democrats have to fight back and say, you know what, this is BS. It is so frustrating. I mean, what are we doing?
I have amazing news, everyone, as President Scrooge's influence is diminishing hour by hour, quite literally. He is growing more and more desperate, posting for the last 24, 48 hours and beyond, calling for the Republicans to end the filibuster, to use the nuclear option to end the shutdown, and they are ignoring him. They are refusing to do it. And as they do, he calls on it more and more, growing more and more desperate. What this shows is that Trump is now a lame duck president, and the Republicans are now thinking about their future beyond Trump and what will happen after him. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene, the most Trumpy of Trump people, has split from MAGA, split from the Republicans and Trump. The tide has turned. Things are changing. Things are shifting. We'll see what happens here. Be sure to check back for updates. I have a feeling the shutdown could come to an end here very soon with an agreement. Comment what you think about this. Like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe.
Steve Bannon finally said the quiet part out loud. To a room full of criminals, he laid it bare. If Democrats win in the 2026 midterms and the general election in 2028, he and his cronies are going to prison. It's a confession. It is an admission that they have known all along that they are not political operatives. They are a criminal enterprise that has been breaking law after law after law and counting on power to be their get out of jail free cards. What we are witnessing is the extinction burst of MAGA. I saw a creator this morning who put it perfectly. These people are going to ramp up every crazy antic that they have left. They are hemorrhaging followers. Their agenda is wildly unpopular, but they do not care. They're not trying to win over anyone new. Their entire mission is Project 2025, a blueprint for authoritarian rule. They will stop at nothing to see it through. They will continue to find new, creative, and dangerous ways to destroy democracy because they are no longer interested in gaining new followers. That's why Dumpty, after a feeble attempt to pretend he cared about affordability, immediately said, fuck that, because it's a lie. He cares about 4 things and 4 things only. Number 1, keeping the JE files buried to protect himself and his pedophile buddies. Number 2, protecting himself from the mountain of legal consequences he deserves. Number 3, enriching himself and his criminal family. And lastly, remaining loyal to Bibi Yahoo and Putin. That's their entire agenda. That's it. But here's some hope. The MAGA bubble is about to pop. Dumpty himself is on the cusp of collapse. We are watching daily a man in precipitous, rapid decline. His health is failing. His mental clarity, gone. He falls asleep during his own events, including his own military parade. This is happening more and more. He rambles on about tangents that have nothing to do of what was asked by reporters. He rage posts all night long while he's sundowning, and his brain, ailed, which is clearly by dementia, cannot absorb new relevant information. That's why he's always reverting to talking about 2020, Biden, Obama, some fictional glorious past. It's all his dying mind can cling to. So hang on, everyone. The fight is not over. They're going to be more dangerous now than ever. But I think for the first time in a very long time, we can remain cautiously optimistic that this will come to an end. We can start to see the horizon. And on that horizon is the promise of legal and karmic recourse for every single person in this criminal regime. Their time is running out. Let's make sure we're the ones that turn the clock.
Since December, I've been saying Donald Trump is a lame duck president. I've got all these MAGAs here in this town saying, no, he's not. No, he's not. He's got a mandate. No, he doesn't have a mandate. What he has is a lame duck presidency. Cut and dry. He cannot run for president again. The 22nd Amendment prevents that. It's a little vague, but it prevents it. The 12th Amendment prevents him from running for vice president, which is something he actually, basically do it against the wall to see if it would stick. 12th Amendment says any person who is not eligible to run as that as president is not eligible to run as that as vice president. It's that simple. He's not going to be president again. I don't give a crap what these people around him are saying. They're trying to scare the American public. Well, right now, Congress is walking away from Donald Trump. They're turning their backs on him. Finally, they're figuring out, yeah, he is a lame duck president. And you know what? His policies, not only are they unpopular, they suck. These people want to stay in their jobs. They want to retain that little bit of power that they have right now. And the only way they're going to do that is by actually listening to their constituents and following up and doing what their constituents are asking, not one man. Their oath is to the Constitution of the United States, not to Donald Trump. Are they finally starting to figure that out? The tides are starting to turn. Let's see if they keep going that way. Because right now they're turning against Donald Trump.
It's Joe from Georgia. Well, chaos in the Republican Party in the White House. After Tuesday's election, Republicans are starting to see the light. Now, Donald Trump is a lame duck president, folks. He can't run again. So those people who want to be reelected in the United States Congress, the Republicans, guess what? Those coattails of Donald Trump, he won't be on the ballot again. They've been cut off. So the MAGA folks, they didn't care really to show up for him, to help in this past Tuesday's election in any of the states, because it was a total Democrat tsunami. But Republicans are coming out saying, we've got to make a change. They've got to publicly disassociate themselves with the president if they want to be reelected next year, because they see the writing on the wall. So there's going to be a lot of changes here in just the next couple of weeks. You're going to see so many Republicans start to drift away from the president because they have elections to run. In less than a year is election day for them. It didn't work out well for not one person that the president endorsed this election. They all lost. So, folks, there is the day of reckoning has showed up in Washington, D.C., and the Republicans, they're scrambling.
Something I don't think people realize about being raised MAGA is that politics are very much inherited. In MAGA circles where I was raised, it's sort of like you believe what your parents believe because they believe it. You don't really question it. You don't really think about it too much because you're in a small town. Everyone believes what you believe, so you just naturally think you're correct. And then when you watch Fox News all the time, you see that echo chamber and you see those beliefs reflected. You have no reason to even believe that you could be wrong. That's why for me, deconstructing didn't actually begin on a very deep level until I got to college, until I got away from that hyper-religious and very conservative small town. I get a lot of messages about what can I do? What is something that I could do to deconstruct? How do I get through to these people? And the biggest thing is encouraging them to leave their small town, if only for a few days at a time. A lot of Republicans and MAGA folks would be hard pressed to even visit New York City or Chicago because of all the crazy shit that they hear. Getting them to step outside their comfort zone and go to a new place is where the growth and the learning happens. Getting them to actually talk to somebody from a different country is where the growth and the learning happens. People get stuck inside that bubble, not just for their lives, but for generations, which is what causes those beliefs to be passed down even though they're harmful.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Y'all good? Oh my goodness, there's so many things going on. It's just like, this president is crazy. But I told you guys, you know what? I knew they spent the money. And you got to know it's bigger than Trump. He's not that intelligent. If he was, he would have been a successful businessman. All he knows how to do in life is lie, cheat, and steal. And they have to keep a lot of stuff away from him because, you know, he gonna tell everything. But right now, since this little election that passed, they are tripping. They don't know what to do. MAGA is having a meltdown. Their leaders are. But the little crazy MAGAs that we see on the street, that we see in the grocery stores and stuff, they're going to start wilding out because these guys are about to leave them high and dry. See, they took all the money. They had MAGA go, yeah, come on, roll with us. And then they're going to leave with the bag. And then MAGA is going to have nothing because they talked to them and made them think that they were larger than they are or had more power than they did. They don't. Project 2025 was an idea, right? And it was put together by white men who, quote unquote, studied black people. But they didn't study us good because we put a monkey wrench in the whole plan. People are like, how did you do that? By staying home. They counted on us to be outside protesting like we always do. Like we've always done. But at some point, we had to say, the protesting is not working, not that type of protesting. So we started boycotting their stores and, you know, spending our money elsewhere amongst ourselves is what we should do anyway, because ain't nobody trying to help us. But these MAGAs, boy, they about to be mad. And so it's about to get crazy out there. I say this because this is like a PSA. People of color, pay attention. Black, Latinos, don't think you down with them. I don't give a damn how light-skinned you are. You ain't white-skinned. And that's what they're going on. And so they're going to be so mad at these leaders that they're going to come for us. Pay attention. Pay attention. We did our duty. We did our civic duty. And we did our duty by holding back our money. And let's continue to do that. Because once we hit those streets, it ain't going to be a short fight. It's going to be a long, long fight. Just remember that and keep your head on a swivel. All right?